Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 116. I'm your host with my co-host and teenage son, Jack, across the table. We're back down in the basement to talk about some wrestling before he goes off to work. Most important update, have you been paid?
Yes.
Yes, he has, ladies and gentlemen.
Finally got sorted out.
When you got your paycheck, it was huge. We won't say specifically how much, but basically...
$5.
Basically, you worked about 100 hours before you got paid, right? Which is crazy. And to our American friends out there, this might be upsetting to you. Do you know what your... So he is a 15-year-old person making minimum wage in Ontario, Canada. Do you know how much you make approximately an hour?
$14.50.
You make about $15 an hour, right? So our American friends, not to get on...
If I get like time and a half, then like...
It's about half of that in America. And there's
suckers.
Tens of millions of people...
And the exchange rate is like also...
struggling to make ends meet in the States as billionaires' profits keep going up. Working people are still struggling with minimum wage jobs that are kind of below a living wage. So come on, America. Figure it out. Pay people, right? Because you're making a decent wage for the work
like
you are.
And I got a shift on Monday, Thanksgiving Monday. For
You'll get time and a
us
half.
in Canada, I'll get like more.
$22 an hour, basically, for working in a grocery store, stocking fruits and vegetables. So pretty awesome to be in Ontario making a student wage.
Long weekend.
Right. So last night we went down to the city. When we say the city, we mean Toronto, as people in Southern Ontario. As always, folks, I do put timestamps on here. So if you'd like to skip by any segments that you don't enjoy, you can go check the timestamps. We're going to chat for a minute. So we went down to your uncle's very cool space because it's like a coffee shop, a bar, a retail spot also with like skateboarding stuff.
It's like so many things.
There's an art space, right? So it's just a really cool, hip place down in the city. So all of the Korean side of the family, basically all the cousins and the older generation were all there. Because that's true. The Peterborough cousins weren't there, and they're really cool. So we missed them, but because your grandfather's family was in town, right? Some of the siblings that are rarely there. So, but your grandfather
told his siblings, I'm like, sure.
But your grandfather was not there. Why would that be?
I still don't get it. I mean, I do, but
they had moved into a new house not too long ago, and he was just trying to touch up the paint in the ceiling in the kitchen, realizing that some of the touch-ups weren't matching. As you learn, if you try and touch up a ceiling, oftentimes you end up just repainting the whole thing because it never dries and matches well, you know? Anyways, 70-year-old grandfather on a ladder. We went to visit him last night after the dinner, decided to jump from the ladder to the kitchen counter and fractured part of his spine, right? So he is in intense pain on really strong painkillers. So we sort of stopped by to drop him food after we met down in Toronto.
Doing all right, given how bad that
honestly,
sounds.
I was... He's still in a lot of pain, obviously, and your mom looked at the actual wound and said it was pretty awful. But so hopefully he heals quickly, and then possibly going back down there tomorrow for a dinner of
Grandpa's or Toronto.
Grandpa's. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of like legit Chinese food, not actual turkey and stuff. But I think that's the plan for us because it is Canadian Thanksgiving. Sorry, American friends. Again, you celebrate yours at a different time. This is our
a bunch of chumps
Thanksgiving weekend. Hey man, it gets me football. A ton of football, so I appreciate American Thanksgiving.
for having a different one.
Other news, my beloved Toronto Blue Jays had their first playoff game yesterday and lost 4-0. So on the drive down to Toronto, you were confused. Why is mom driving? Well, because dad's streaming the Blue Jay game.
I also thought it was because you get mad in rush hour.
I do not like rush hour, but it was more I wanted to watch the Jays game on the way down there. So disappointing. Our best pitcher started and just had one bad inning. I think he was too hyped up in the first inning, gave up 3 runs, and that's all it took because the Jays couldn't score. So disappointing, but at least they made the playoffs, so that's cool. Anything exciting for you other than getting paid and buying? What did you buy with your...
Oh yeah, they had the Office, like I said, at Walmart, so I got that.
Which I also think is really cool, being a big Office fan. So as you were building it, you were showing me there's so many references to so many episodes, right, within that Lego set. It's really cool.
I think what they could do at some point, and I hope they do, is like a CMF series for the Office, which is like the blind bags. So they did that for Simpsons a while ago. Yeah. Because there's so many variants. You could have like Prison Mike, a Santa Bond, like
Chili Kevin.
Dinner party. Oh, no, Kevin has the chili in
he does?
set. Yeah.
Already? Nice.
You could have like the
Makes
dinner
sense.
party, like Jan or something, or like you could have Golden Face.
Yeah.
Some stuff like that, right? Like kind of like the mini Funko Pops I got from the Advent calendar.
That would be awesome.
It could be stuff like that. So I think it'd be cool if they did that because they've done that for like Looney Tunes and...
It is a very cool Lego set, I will
Simpsons
say.
and whatnot. Yeah, so
That was his
cool.
big purchase.
And then this morning I watched Werewolf by Night, which is Marvel's Halloween special presentation. It's like, I think that's their term for like, it's not a show, but it's like not a movie because it's like under an hour.
And I wasn't watching it because I was finishing up Impact as it was in the background, but I was even saying like it looked cool to me, like the whole
that was good,
really dark kind of gothic black and white. What did you say, like early horror
1930s kind of
30s horror vibe to it, which caught my eye for sure. Especially since I don't really enjoy any of the other superhero stuff. That was kind of intriguing to me. So
yeah,
maybe I'll check it out at some point. I like the look of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And honestly, it felt more worth watching than She-Hulk or Miss Marvel. So
right.
So I don't want to watch.
But you will.
Maybe.
Really?
I'll probably watch.
Not?
I'll probably watch She-Hulk, but I don't want to watch Miss Marvel.
You're such a completist, though.
Yeah, I might eventually, but I don't want to.
Fair enough. I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about? You got to get to work, so we should maybe move into talking about some wrestling, I reckon. So let's do that. First off, as always, we will take a look at some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. All right, so rating-wise this week, so NXT, which was the first post 2.0.
So they claim.
NXT, which I'll get into later, yes, was a little bit disappointing for sure. But it averaged 625,000 viewers, so that's down 5.3%. They seem to be sort of inching away from that 700,000 that I consider to be a very good number for them. 0.13 in the key demographic, that's down a rather significant 18.8%, so that's not something they would like to see. And in my opinion, again, we'll get to it later, I don't think this first episode of Post 2.0, NXT 3.0, or whatever it is, I don't think that's going to be, from what I saw, it's not drawing me back. I mean, I'll watch it because I always do, but it's not like, I was like, wow, this is so much better. I'm going to watch next week. Off. So I'm not sure if that number is going to go up. Definitely not, because it's so much better and different than 2.0. So AEW Dynamite this week, back up over 1 million after the first time in like, I think 5 or 6 weeks they weren't. So 1.038 million, which is up almost 5%, and a 0.33 in the key demo, which is down a tiny bit, 2.9%. So obviously nice for them to be back up over that 1 million, and we'll get in depth about what we thought about that show. Bit of a mixed bag for me, I guess I'll say, but we'll talk about it more in depth, obviously, in our very next segment. News that you have, sir. We haven't talked about what we each have, so it'll be interesting today.
So I saw WWE released Nigel McGuinness and all the commentary shakeups.
Yes. So yeah, talk about those, because I had that too, but that's fine.
The new commentary teams, I guess.
Do it.
If I can find it, where is it?
I have it as well if you need it.
I kind of remember. I think so. On Raw, I think they're gonna have. Oh, here it is. Okay. So on Raw now we have Kevin Patrick, I think, and Corey Graves. Kevin Patrick's the weird British guy I don't really like. And then Corey Graves is Corey Graves.
Yeah.
And then on SmackDown it's Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, which I think is pretty solid actually.
Yep.
I think that's good. And then on NXT it's Vic Joseph, who I think is fine, and Booker T, who is one of my least favorite commentators. Right. Remember Raw cycled through like having third commentators I hated, like Booker T and Coach. I think Beth Phoenix at one point. Renee Young was always okay.
Yeah, she was alright.
NXT, the third one I hated. I hated Percy Watson. He is the worst, and I hate Beth Phoenix.
So that's one of my favorite things coming out of this is
they're all two-man teams.
Right, is that you were hating a lot of the third person.
Yeah, Morrow and Nigel were always great too. Then you have to throw in like Percy Watson.
Right.
Like honestly, Vic and Barrett are fine.
Yes.
And then
I just think in the 3-person team, there's not enough for that third person to look decent. Like they're just kind of,
unless it is 3 people that are good. Like I didn't hate Byron, Cole, Graves because I didn't hate any of them.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the time that there's one that's just not good.
So, yes, so they've gone to 2-person teams for each of them, which I kind of like that decision.
Yeah, and Cole and Graves are going to do pay-per-view PLEs.
Oh, that makes sense. So we'll see where that goes. I also had that one in there. WWE apparently is looking to hire, and this is just kind of funny in light of recent events in AEW, an operations manager, and part of the gig will be to manage conflict with talent. I wonder what they're trying to get out ahead of, right? So in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer, Meltzer noted that WWE has a listing for an operations manager to manage conflict within talent. This person would work with the travel department and the creative team to make sure that announcers know the key points that they need to get across for storylines. They would also negotiate with announcers, commentators I think is more accurate, and recruit new help to develop new ideas. And also there is a line in there where, quote, will have direct contact with talent and must be able to manage conflicting egos, personalities, and concerns. So clearly they are seeing what's going on in AEW. And without Vince there to just crush any dissent, right? Like, which I think is the process before, they're looking for a new way to make sure they can deal with this, so that the making sure commentary know what to focus on, I thought was interesting, right? Like, just basically, is that part of the issue in AEW, or are they not? I don't know where that came from, but so yeah, looks like there's a new position if you want to apply.
Something I forgot to mention with the commentary team, but I guess it could be its own news thing. So
go for it.
Kathy Kelly's back.
Yes, she is
doing backstage interviews, so that's kind of cool. She was around like a while ago.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember which one she is, because
you'd probably remember when
I see her for sure, but I don't watch. So.
I don't. She was pretty good. I don't, from what I remember, honestly. Like, I don't know, the backstage interviewers are. I mean, some of them suck, but most of them are just like
most of them are okay.
Right.
Yep.
So,
she's
that's
back.
the one you like. Oh, it was Charlie Caruso, right?
Yes, I did like Charlie Caruso.
Yeah. But so Kathy Kelly's good. That's cool. And apparently Jimmy Smith will be gone, I think.
Yeah. I saw something that it kind of got leaked to him before that he was getting fired. That Triple H said something to him where he basically figured out that he was fired before he was fired. But anyways, so another signing, WWE as a coach. Did you see this one? A guy we like that got released.
Thatcher.
Biff Busick. Close. I'd say that's pretty close. So Biff Busick, a.k.a. FKA, I guess, Oni Lorcan. He's now a full-time back with WWE as a coach.
Oh, that's lame.
I mean, he's probably a very good coach. Maybe there's hope he still gets on TV in some capacity, right? They can have coaches that wrestle.
Yeah, like Madison Rayne in AEW, which why is she wrestling?
And Meltzer reported he's not a guest coach and will be there for a while as a full-time coach. So, I mean, I really liked him in ring, right? He worked so fast.
Yeah, Oni Lorcan was always pretty sweet.
Just not a lot of charisma or personality.
No, I kind of missed the faction with Dunn.
Yeah.
And McAfee.
I thought that worked pretty well.
Yeah. Even when it was like them in Holland, which I don't like Holland, but that was even better. And anything's better than Butch.
Busick was a guy I watched on the indies that I was surprised WWE signed, because he just didn't quite have the look or the charisma or the mic skills. But
him and Birch were solid together. Like, they had one of those matches
yes,
that you really liked against Undisputed Era.
Yes, we really liked that match. I remember being pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah. And moral of the story, anything's better than Butch.
Yes, poor Butch.
I hate Butch.
Yep. Butch makes an appearance this week. We'll talk about him.
Butch makes me want to die.
I can't remember if I mentioned him in Highspots or not. But anyways, we'll talk about it. Anything else?
I'll mention anyways. I mean, I don't know. So Zelina Vega returned on SmackDown, attacking Hit Row with the debuting Legado del Fantasma. So Legado are back, ditching Elektra Lopez. Now it's Zelina Vega, which I think is an excellent decision.
Yeah, I like that too. She
kind of like an Andrade take two, but then I think this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, actually. And then when Andrade gets fired, he can, for attacking Sammy. I didn't even put that in my news, right? He punched out apparently Sammy Guevara on Wednesday before Dynamite, as he pretty much said he was going to do in what people are saying is an attempt to get fired. And him back with Zelina Vega, I don't know why that combination was ever broken up. I felt that they were almost the perfect
isn't it
combination.
Because he left, or I guess because she started wrestling?
Yes. Right, didn't she go up to main roster on her own and started wrestling? I can't remember what it was.
No, they went up together.
Yeah, so they were amazing combination, because honestly, Vega's not amazing in the ring, but she can pull off a couple moves pretty well. Remember, she was always
the Hurricane Rana on SmackDown.
And she would just interfere with a quick move. It would look good, and then she was his mouthpiece, and it was an amazing combination. So
business associate.
Anyways, right, that's what it was.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, and good to see Escobar. I think they are healing again, which I think is much better.
Escobar should be a star, man. Like, I don't think there's any reason that guy's not a star. He can even speak, obviously, but I don't know. I like that group. I hope they get a shot.
It's another tag. I mean, they need more babyface tag teams, because the only like Street Profits, New Day, Hit Row.
Right.
I think I don't know why the Viking Raiders are heel, because I mean, it kind of works. But
and Escobar can be a face because people want to cheer for him because he's cool, right? So hopefully that works out. Speaking of the issues with AEW backstage, that investigation with the Elite and everything else is still not completed due to what is being said legal threats with one party. We're not sure who.
Who could it be?
Being uncooperative. Now, none of those guys are known for being uncooperative or selfish, right? So who could it be?
It's never happened in the past.
Right. So Ryan Frederick reported on Wrestling Observer Board that there's some holdups on completing the investigation. Supposedly it should be wrapped up soon, Meltzer followed up by saying, one person has threatened legal action and been uncooperative. CM Punk. Sorry, the last part was
Still got the cough.
Me edit right. I just clearing my throat there.
No, it happens. Yeah.
Yep. So let's get this over with, man. Stop holding this up and get people back on TV that we want back on TV. But anyways, that's my opinion. Anything else? That's it, actually, because I just had Legato and the Kathy Kelly and the commentary stuff. So it's all you if you have anything else.
Last one was John Moxley signs a 5-year extension with AEW going through 2027. And it will be including mentoring and coaching talent, which I think makes sense.
Yeah, that he is willing to do that, right, is cool. Because some people are there, nope, I'm here to be a star. I'm not here to elevate other people. I'm here for me. And he does not seem to be that type of person. So that's a great guy to have as like your cornerstone of the company. So again, we've said it, like, you're early to the big Mox fandom, and I'm recently coming to it. I think he is a professional, right? And he's just a guy that you can count on and build around to just make good decisions and not do stupid stuff. So I think that is a very good signing for AEW.
Mm-hmm.
That's it?
Yep.
All right, so let's move into a very in-depth review of this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. All right, so my first note for Dynamite was a match to start. Hooray, which made me happy because it's been a while, right? I think.
No, it was just they did before, I think, last week because it was Grand Slam with Claudio.
Oh, you're
and,
right. Before that, they'd been kind of on a streak of not matches. I mean, the segments were almost all pretty good, but
yeah,
I still prefer a match at the end of the day. So tell us about it.
So we open the show with MJF versus Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, and MJF definitely he says he's put on 20 pounds of muscle. I would say that is correct. He looked much bigger and stronger. And well, significantly.
He didn't brag about like Cody Rhodes and made a big deal out of it.
24 pounds of muscle.
He was like, he wasn't like 14
pounds of
14 pounds of muscle. He was just like, it was so stupid.
No, so this he looked great here. Yeah.
So Cody fat shames because he's like wants to be muscly.
He does.
Noodles. MJF was arm wrenched Yuta into the corner, kind of like pulled him, and then he kind of like flipped him.
Yeah, that looked cool.
In the corner. There's pendulum backbreaker by MJF, changes him right into a gut wrench suplex for 2, which is kind of cool. So right there's some more strength. Consecutive German suplexes by Yuta. Later on, MJF does like that double foot stomp to the arm. Yuta goes for Hurricane. MJF counters with a powerbomb backbreaker for 2, which was pretty sweet.
Stolen from Josh Alexander, but it's okay.
Roddy did it first.
Alexander's looks better, but it's still a sweet move. Yeah, that's true.
The
Messiah of the backbreaker.
Fair enough. There's a pin back and forth thing in Majiggy, and then a double clothesline leaves them both down. MJF goes for the Avalanche Tombstone, which he's done before, and I wanted him to do it. But then Yuta counters like a dumb little poo, and eventually hits an Avalanche Hurricanrana. Then when MJF rolls outside, Yuta hits a suicide dive. And then Yuta looks for a dive from the top back in the ring, but MJF rolls near the other side of the ring, and then Yuta does a diving splash kind of across the ring for 2, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and because sometimes commentary will say like, he's 3/4 of the way across the ring, and they're exaggerating. This was pretty legit, and it was because MJF kept rolling away, right? So this was
kind of like a consistent thing, like not just like it's like
right. Because MJF was doing the heel rolling out of the way of stuff, so Yuta was like, I'm still going to get you from that far. And he did, and it looked pretty cool.
Finish comes and Yuta goes for the seatbelt pin, but MJF counters it into the salt to the earth. Fujiwara armbar. Then Yuta nearly gets a rope break, and MJF pulls him back, does like a bridging version, and eventually gets the submission win. And after the match, Yuta offers a handshake. MJF's kind of debating. Then Lee Moriarty attacks Yuta from behind, and MJF's kind of like, I didn't tell you to do that. You
could hear him say, I didn't ask you to do this or whatever.
Then Hathaway comes with the apron, and I'm just kind of arguing with him as Moriarty's attacking Yuta. And then Hathaway gives him the ring, and MJF is conflicted about hitting Yuta with the ring. And then Regal walks the ring, putting on his brass knucks, and then he kind of stands off with MJF until MJF kind of leaves.
Yeah.
Which at least he put on the brass knucks, so there's kind of a threat there. It's not just like dumb old man.
But how do you feel about MJF like having this moment of a conscience?
I don't like it.
I don't either.
I feel like
he should just be pure heel and not handshake and not think about knocking people out with the ring.
Could be I guess messing with people again.
It could be.
That's what it always is.
If
it's not, then I don't want it.
It felt a bit out of character for me, and then the whole handshake stuff after the match happened more times in this show, right? Like it was almost like an ROH show where everyone's expected to at least attempt the code of honor. It was kind of strange, but I mean, I really liked this match. This was my match of the night. And one, again, commentary, because I find I pay attention to Regal on commentary because I like him quite a bit. So at one point he said that, again, it makes sense. He wants his guys, to wrestle like diabolical people like MJF, and he would add himself in there, right? Like this willing to do anything, because it's going to prepare them for anything in any other matches. So I like that. And he also at some point said that he and the other members of the Blackpool Combat Club slap Yuta in the face regularly. So it was kind of like, it's no big deal for him. So I thought this was an excellent match. Yuta looks strong. He now looks like he's kind of at this level, right? And I don't think the loss here really hurts him. MJF picks up a quality win, showcases some grappling, some counters, right? His increased size and strength. So I thought there were a couple spots where MJF, just to nitpick, was going through the motions. I even put specifically, like, when he missed his clotheslines coming off the rope and stuff, they looked kind of half-assed to me for a couple seconds. But overall, I really thought it was my match of the night. The crowd really got into it. And this wasn't, as you noticed, right? This wasn't a big venue. Like, it looked pretty small, but I don't know what the capacity was, but I thought the crowd was pretty good considering it was significantly smaller.
They make good noise, especially for stuff like the Acclaimed and
yeah, they
whatnot.
were they were into things.
You reckon Toronto will be like that size or like
bigger? Bigger, I think.
Really? And that's not even our biggest one.
No, it's not at all. So I thought this was a really, really good opener with that star power, right? Like MJF back in the ring. Again, the post-match stuff, I'm with you. I don't like MJF having a conscience or being conflicted about stuff. He is pure evil, and he should just embrace that. So I hope it is sort of that he's just messing with people. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think it's been a while since we've seen MJF wrestle. So, and the last time we did, he got killed by Wardlow.
Right.
So I think he looked good here. I thought they worked pretty well together. MJF had some cool stuff. I like that powerbomb backbreaker. The long distance splash was cool. I think the finish was cool too. I actually really like him like countering the pin into Salt of the Earth,
right,
which was pretty cool. And
the pin that Yuta's been like killing people with,
and he was targeting the arm before too, so it kind of makes sense as well. And post match stuff was alright. I assume that MJF being conflicted is a ruse just to like, I don't know, get at Yuta or something like that.
I hope so.
On the off chance it's something, I would say no thank you. Like, why mess with, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes, agree.
Like, heel MJF is gold. Anyways, this was a good opener.
It was.
Then we get like a Danielson Garcia Jazz package, and it was kind of cool because it was like highlights of everyone in the match, like at each their starting points in AEW.
Right.
Like Guevara and Jericho from the first time the Inner Circle were in the ring together. When Garcia started with 2.0, and then when Danielson started, like before Grand Slam or like around Grand Slam, and then also when he was starting Blackpool Combat Club. And then there's highlights of Anarchy in the Arena, and then like some of the matches leading up, like Dancing versus Garcia winning the Pure title, Jericho winning the ROH title.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And then we kind of cut right to and then there's also a recap of Jericho's post match promo last week after beating Bandito, and then we cut to a Jazz interview. And Menard says after everything they've been through together, Garcia wants to spit in their face and team with Danielson. And Parker says they love him and they are his family, and he turned his back on them. Jericho says they taught Garcia everything he knows, and lessons will be learned, and he better make the right choice. And Guevara says if he doesn't, they will end him. And then Jericho says he'll end Danielson in Toronto and remain the Ocho.
No, maybe.
So I thought the package was solid. It was just clipping together the past stuff. I thought it was kind of cool the way they did it.
Too.
Just like all their beginnings. I think they did a solid job of recapping some of the key points, not like everything, but I think some of the key points. Good.
Yeah, I haven't been coughing much at all today, but as soon as we come down here, it's like I need to cough. So keep talking.
So the interview part was fine. I thought 2.0 spoke fine, and Jericho was all right. Not much to say about that, but overall it was a fine bit.
Yeah, my only critique, like I like the package as well, the highlights and stuff, is that like based on what's happened the past few weeks, I'm not sure about the Jazz being so optimistic about Garcia still, because to me it looks like it's pretty clear he's out, right? Like
right, but maybe they're just like trying to coerce him back in, or like
the flip side is that's how badly they want Garcia, right? They realize how good he is, and
they don't want him on the opposite side.
They don't want him somewhere else. So at one point I was kind of like, it bugs me a bit, but then it's like if they're it kind of makes sense from their perspective, is they don't want to be facing him. They want him on their side because they realize how talented he is. Nothing about actually loving him or whatever.
And the thought of a sports entertainer going to be a pro wrestler disgusts them.
Right, if we can't have you, nobody should have you kind of thing. So I was okay with it, yeah.
Yeah. Then we go right to Jay Lethal versus Darby Allin wearing not unique face paint that I've seen a million times before.
Yeah, you were not happy about that. Right.
Because, like, it's just, like, similar face paint that he would have worn, like, when he debuted.
Yeah.
Or so, like, do something
It
cool.
wasn't anything special for sure.
Do something cool.
Right.
Like, is it that hard? No. Notable, so Lethal hit a monkey flip to Darby, but he kind of flipped and landed on his feet. And then he almost kind of knocks in the ref, but doesn't. He makes sure he doesn't. And then he turns around Lethal to drop kick to the left knee and then kind of targets that more. There was a leg caught German suplex by Lethal, and Darby landed pretty cool.
Lots of cool leg targeting by Lethal, I thought. Consistent.
There's an avalanche dragon screw by Lethal, which was interesting, and then he locks in the figure four, but Darby gets a rope break. Lethal goes for a lethal injection, but Darby flips him over his back and then hits a code red for 2, which was pretty nice. Dutt and Singh come on the stage to distract Darby. Lethal takes advantage, but then tells him to leave.
Because he said he was going to need no help.
Right, because Darby kind of challenged him to that, and then Lethal's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
So he didn't want any support from his people.
And then the finish comes in. Darby Lethal going back and forth in pin combinations, so Darby uses the last supper, which is pretty cool pin for the win.
Yeah,
and I like it better than Yuta's, because I think, well, they both look cool, but, like, Yuta uses that like it's a finisher.
It is, yeah.
And I think Darby just uses that as kind of a last resort.
Right.
So I kind of like that he doesn't always use it. And I mean, I don't mind if that's in rotation for Yuta, but, like, it feels like he uses that to finish too frequently. Like, it should be like a last option.
Darby, it seems pretty protected. Like, I don't know if anyone's kicked out of that yet, have they?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And then after the match, Darby offers a handshake with Lethal, takes them up on as Dutton and Singh are furious. Then Lethal walks off with them in tow. And I mean, they do keep doing the Code of Honor thing, but this one kind of works better for me because, like, it was the whole thing that Lethal was trying to, like, do it on his own and, like, kind of showing respect to Darby. So I think this one, like, I don't know why they kept doing it.
But that you put it right after it just happened in the opening match seemed strange to me.
True, but I would say it would work here better.
Yeah, I really like this match as well. Like, I mean, Jay Lethal's just a super consistent performer, right? And he's in the spot where he provides bigger stars with quality wins with generally, like, a quick kind of shallow build to it. And this is another example. I loved, like, the frequent attack of Allen's leg because he just has varied, believable ways to do that, right? Lethal's just such an experience. He's so smooth in the ring. And then it allowed Allen to do what he does best, right? Sell, overcome a whole bunch of adversity and end up winning. So I thought this was a really good TV match. I'm not sure about, like, how are you feeling about the tease of dissension in Lethal's group? Is anyone going to really care about that?
I don't care. And then what do you do with Dutton Singh?
Right.
After?
So I thought that was a bit strange, and I don't know, like, it just, to me, all I see is, okay, so now that's going to get a bunch of attention in the coming weeks, and is there not a better place to put that attention, right? Is what I start wondering with this roster and the time they have.
Ring of Honor.
Is this where we want to go, right? So, again, seemed like deja vu from the opener with the Code of Honor at the end. But again, the match I really enjoyed, which will be a bit of a theme on this show, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was another good TV match. Nothing that blows you away, but I thought it was pretty good. Like the opener had some cool bits, and if you checked it out, I don't think it would be overly exciting, but it's not, like, going to disappoint you.
Yeah. I liked it.
Lethal, like you said, very consistent worker. I think he did well here. I think working the leg the whole match was a nice story. And then throw thanks in part to Darby selling it pretty well.
Yes, for sure.
I like the Last Supper pin. It looks really cool.
It did.
It's tricky to do with the figures because of articulation limits, but
right.
I think it looks really cool when he does it. And Lethal seems like maybe he's turning face again, but it doesn't really matter to me because you can just face whoever.
Yeah, so Lethal's one of these guys, like, you just imagine Darby and him getting together backstage and Darby going, all right, the story, can you just, like, work my leg? And Lethal's like, sure, no problem, right? And he'll know 20 different ways to do that, no problem, and it'll all look good. So he's a nice addition to the roster, I think, for sure, in the role he's in.
Yeah, and then just get rid of Dutt and Satnam, and then...
Yeah, I mean, some people, I don't mind Dutt as much as some people. He gets a little bit over the top at some points, but...
I mean, if, like...
And Singh's doing nothing.
You can keep Dutt, but, like, I mean, if he turns face, what's the use of them?
And Singh's not even, like, an enforcer, really. He doesn't do anything, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand...
No.
What he...
Unless it was, let's grab him before WWE does and see if we can train him on the fly, sort of thing. I don't know.
Which, I mean, I'd rather see him suck in WWE than
Me too.
Do nothing.
Yes.
In AEW.
Well, I'm fine with him doing nothing. I probably would prefer him doing nothing to actually trying to do something based on his experience.
But, like, I just don't want him there. I mean, just like
Fair
get
enough.
him out. Next we get a promo Cage for the Brian Cage faction.
My note is Cage and the Embassy still exist because we haven't seen them since the pay-per-view that they were on.
Since they became the Embassy.
Right, since we got rid of Tully and replaced them with Prince Nana.
Why did that happen?
I don't know why Tully's gone. Nana's cool, though. I like him. And it's that very simple gimmick of I'm a rich prince and I'm trying to sign fighters. So I have no problem with that.
Which is why he took Gates of Agony and not a better team.
Well, I mean, maybe he doesn't. Maybe the other people aren't interested, right? He signed the best people that were willing to sign with him. I don't know.
Which is Gates of Agony.
Yes, and Cage.
Woo!
I actually think they'd be cool in ROH if they had their own TV.
Yeah.
But they are lacking star power.
It's just kind of roasting them. No, Cage is good. I like Cage. I miss Brian Cage.
In ring, and we'll talk about that match next, right?
Prince Nana says the Gates of Agony are coming for every piece of gold around. Sure.
I like Gates of Agony.
Yeah, but they're just losers.
There's certainly nothing right now, but Khan is
I'm
going
not
to be
saying they're
cool.
not good, but they're just losers, so I'm going to make fun of them.
Sure.
And Cage will get the TNT Championship. I wish, because I don't care about Wardlow. Cage says people are calling him this his comeback, but this is his rival. Does that make sense?
I guess this is the real him now. I don't know.
Real him has a mohawk?
I
Okay,
guess.
so no mohawk Cage is fake Cage. And he says, tonight Wardlow faces the Machine, this Wolverine, and he asks who better than Cage. And he says the answer will always be no one. And why do they call him a machine? Because he's Cage.
Yeah, sure, because that makes sense.
Or why they call him Cage? Because he's a machine.
My favorite catchphrase.
That was the best, yeah. And Lucha Underground is like, you know why they call me Cage? Because I'm a machine.
Pardon? What part of a cage is a machine? But anyways, I guess it could have an automatic gate or something.
I don't know
on it.
how many cages are like that.
Or machines? I don't know. Prince Nana's cool. I think he's pretty entertaining. Again, these guys would fit well if you got ROH TV. And oh my goodness, I thought Brian Cage sounded fine here. And
yeah,
for Brian
Cage, not bad.
Brian Cage sounding fine is like 3 or 4 notches above Brian Cage generally. Like I didn't hate him talking here. And usually I'm like, please stop talking.
These guys should have the trios titles in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Because like,
it's Dalton Castle,
what are you gonna
right?
do with Dalton
Who's
Castle?
not signed anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him tweet something about that he's still, I forgot, right? He's still the ROH 6-man champion. But yeah, I thought...
Give it to these guys.
Normally, Cage has, like, Athena vibes talking for me, where I'm just like, please stop, because
you're... like Roddy.
I like you in the ring, but you're taking away from everything. But he sounded okay here, so that's a win for him, for sure.
Because he's a machine.
He is a machine.
And that's why they call him Cage.
That's right, of course. I mean, I feel like that connection's so obvious, you don't even have to finish it, right? You just, yeah.
All right. So next it's Brian Cage versus Wardlow for the TNT Championship. Do I wish Cage won? Yes. Did he hit a drill claw? No.
This is the match I didn't know I wanted, to be honest with you. Other than not getting a drill claw, because we just sit there. We're like, drill claw anyone. grab someone from the crowd, drill claw them.
Drill claw Prince Nana and turn babyface. Right. I don't care.
Because we were pretty sure he wasn't going to drill claw Wardlow. But...
drill claw anyone and everyone.
Right. Anytime. Just drill claw.
Literally, like, just
drill claw montage.
Drill claw the ref and DQ yourself and
100%.
Screw the match. I don't care. Just drill claw anyone.
But anyways, we didn't get one.
So a Haas fight clothesline stalemate and then trading punches as you do. Hurricane by Wardlow and the tilt-a-whirl head scissors by Cage, because that's something big guys do.
Yeah, they're just 260-pound luchadors, jacked luchadors, apparently.
Cage goes for a Tiger Fang kick, but Wardlow catches him and slams him. World's strongest slam kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks good.
Wardlow goes for a powerbomb, but Cage counters and hits a sit-out Alabama slam, which is pretty sweet.
It was.
Whisper in the Wind by Wardlow, homage to Jeff Hardy. Just kidding.
That was crazy too. Like, yeah.
There's 2 German suplexes and overhead belly to belly by Wardlow. Outside in superflex by Cage, because
why not? You're just the strongest man ever, I guess.
2 count. Cage goes for a drill claw, but Wardlow gets out like a dumb little.
Deprived us of a drill claw. How dare you?
The audacity.
Yeah.
He shoves Cage to the ropes and hits a spine buster for 2 off the rebound. Cage ducks that wind up layer from Wardlow, hits an F5, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Cage goes for a powerbomb, which Wardlow avoids and hits 2 headbutts in that clothesline. Then some powerbombs for the win. After match, Gates of Agony attack Wardlow until Samoa Joe runs down to try and make a save, gets overwhelmed. FTR chase off the heels.
Yeah.
Cool.
Aftermath less impressed. The match, man, I thought this match was pretty sick, and I did not expect what we got. Just the agility and high flying out of these guys, which Cage can do, and Wardlow keeps sort of showing us a little bit here and there. Man, this was power moves and lucha stuff. Not a common type of match in AEW because they don't have giant guys generally, and it was two of them together. So the crowd is still into Wardlow despite kind of a low profile lately. Sorry,
it's lost a lot of steam for me. I
agree.
Love the title run, and I don't think it really lends itself well to a title run.
No, I thought Cage looked great here. I almost feel like, to nitpick, I didn't like him taking the series of power bombs at the end. I think it should have been, this guy pushed me to my limits so much and we took so much punishment. I'm going to hit one and end it.
It's like he hits so many power bombs, but it's also so slow in between them. Right. He's just like telling the crowd. It's like,
that's my
why
issue.
Is it impossible for like once you get hit with one power bomb, right, you're just like
it's
susceptible to a million power bombs.
Exactly part of my criticism here, right? Is if you hit them all like consecutively without even really releasing him,
because sometimes he does that, like he'll powerbomb and roll him through for
right.
But he does that like on like the third one into the fourth one.
But like the strutting around and mugging and hitting 4 of them, I thought kind of negated what Cage had done in this match. But I really, really like this match. So I don't like FTR coming out in the role they came in here because again, they're super over. They're the best tag team in the world. How are they not featured, right? Kind of bugs me. The aftermath I didn't really care about, but man, I really, really like this match. And if on paper I would have been like, yeah, it should be an okay Haas fight, but I was super entertained. You?
Cage should have won.
He looked great here.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think I liked it the most so far. I gotta love a solid Haas fight. Plus, these guys can do some crazy stuff. I'm glad to see Brian Cage back. He's great in the ring, and I liked him again here. And I was really pulling for a drill claw in any capacity. They did not give that to us here.
We were.
Nonetheless, Cage looked good here, as did Wardlow, so a solid win for Wardlow. And it was actually kind of competitive. Like, I think the Wardlow thing, generally speaking, I don't think it lends itself great to a title run, but like at least like this was kind of competitive.
For sure.
That's better. And that's why they call him a machine.
Unfortunately, the machine broke down, I guess, here.
Yeah, so, and that's why they call him Cage.
Mm-hmm.
The post-match with Standard was the best they have for FTR. Like, just give them anything worthwhile. It's like
right?
Anything.
Like, I don't know.
Preferably give them the titles, but
yeah,
I guess the titles just.
I am confused. Hands. This is AEW missing something.
When they were doing really good before with FTR,
right? And now it's just kind of like, where can we squeeze them in? Even though they're like the most over.
Chuck Dax Howard in a singles match. I don't care.
Right now, your two of the most over acts are Acclaimed and FTR. So to me, you have to build to some sort of unification, even if it's babyface. I don't care, or whatever. They get all the gold. Maybe they don't unify them, but they have them all.
I don't think they will.
And like maybe they're going to get to that, but like you have the two most over things are tag teams with belts. How are you not addressing that? Anyways, carry on.
Then we go to our women's match of the week, which is Serena Deeb, Penelope Ford, sans Kip Sabian, and Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm, Willow Nightingale, and Athena with wings. Yes,
with and then my first note is, dude runs out to take Athena's stupid wing backpack off, and it makes me laugh because I don't know if the camera was supposed to cut away, but this little like production assistant or whatever runs out and like unstraps her backpack and takes it away, which the backpack's dumb, but anyways.
Notables.
Did you miss the Brit talking about Saraya?
Yes.
Before this? All she said is Saraya's not cleared to wrestle, so wrap her in bubble tape and send her away. So that was them, I thought, telegraphing that Saraya was cleared, and she is now, right after, I think the day after Dynamite or a couple days after. So I thought I saw several hints here that were revealing that yes, she is. And actually, I'm not thrilled, I don't think, because I
don't really care.
Exactly, and I thought if she's in this role to elevate the women's division, that might be a better use for her, right? As a competitor, I'm not that interested. But anyway, sorry, go ahead. The match starts.
Springboard cross by D by Athena, then Storm tags in as a shotgun drop kick to D right away.
Yes, correct. Are you waiting for me to add something there? I got nothing.
Baby faces 6 consecutive corner moves to D. Storm has the hip attack last because that's what she do.
It looked good. It's pretty awesome move at this point. It's so simple. I can't believe more people don't do it, to be honest.
That's because most of the time it sucks.
I don't know. Looks good here.
Who did that?
Looks good every time Toni Storm does it.
Except for when she did it in NXT. It was horrible. She sucks in NXT.
She did.
I hated her in NXT.
And now I kind of enjoy her, so good for her.
D hits a suplex to Athena while she has Storm's legs tied up. Does that thing again. It was in stereo with Hayter suplexing Willow as well.
Right.
Willow gets a hot tag flurry on Hayter, finishing with a spinebuster for 2, which is solid. could break a thingamajiggy by Athena with one of those sequences where everyone's hitting something. Blah,
yeah,
blah,
it's
blah.
like a high impact parade sort of deal. Yeah.
The finish comes when Ford goes for a handspring move, but Willow hits a basement dropkick mid handspring, which is pretty cool. Then falls with a Doctor Bomb. Willow picks up the win. And then post match, Beaker gets in Saraya's face, and they kind of brawl for a bit, and then
another telegraph. As soon as there's physicality, right? Even though she didn't take any bumps, as soon as she's engaging in physicality, you know she's going to be wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed this match as well. I thought everybody looked good in here. Maybe not quite as much of Hater as people wanted because she's super over right now too. One of the more over acts on the show, I think. But I thought that this was really good. The signature parade that we got wasn't perfect. Like Willow's kick wasn't great. And did you mention Ford's Matrix Cutter?
Oh yeah, that wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but it's still, I've seen it. I think she's done it on Darker Elevation. I've seen a highlight of it anyways, where she does the Matrix like right into a cutter. It still looked kind of cool, but she kind of barely held on to it, I think, there. Yeah, so I'm a sucker for trios matches in AEW, and I thought this was another one that was really good.
Women's trios titles.
I didn't like Saraya's involvement. I thought she was kind of pointless and didn't really add much here. But again, it's becoming clear that she can wrestle. And I thought Shivani was hinting at it a few times here. There was a line where in the promo pre-match when Britt said that you're not cleared to wrestle, Tony said, don't know which doctor she's talking about. Like, doctors aren't clear. So I was like, this is them setting it up, right? And then he also said she looks to be in ring shape after the sort of contact they had. So I thought they were really telegraphing Saraya being cleared to wrestle. And also, like, just logically, would they sign her if she can't wrestle? I don't think she's worth signing if she can't wrestle.
I mean, her role change in the division, I guess, is interesting, but it's not like a defined role.
And they sort of leaned away from the whole she's going to revolutionize the division or whatever, which I felt they hit too hard last week. So bottom line, I really like this match. The Saraya stuff I don't really care that much about, but I really liked Willow picking up the win, and the Dr. Bomb is sick, right? So she's different. She's got like she's got this optimistic, upbeat
Bailey
thing
kind of thing,
where I feel like we already kind of know more about her than some women who've been there for a long time, right? Like, she actually has some sort of character going for her where she's like easygoing, happy, positive, but then in the ring she can be a killer, and I think that's cool. And the crowd seems to connect with her. I've seen her on the indies quite a bit, and she always connects with the crowd. So I think AEW needs to recognize that, and sort of, she would be someone I would focus on going forward in the women's division. Anyways, I'm yammering. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, I thought it was a solid match. There were only a couple of sloppy bits, but most of this was pretty good. I thought, I think it was just thing I noticed. It didn't like feel like anyone really came out of it looking better. Just because
everybody looked good, but nobody was like the star.
I feel like sometimes there's like a standout.
Right.
I think they showcased Willow a lot more, and she looked good, but I don't think she looked like she stood out a ton, like Athena kind of did in the 408 at Grand Slam, because remember she actually looked really good in that.
Right, she did.
And I feel like maybe Hater Storm should have stood out here, but they didn't, which is fine. Like, again, they look good, but I just feel like one of them should have gotten more, perhaps.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting in the beginning because it was, like I told you, they were clearly building to Hater tagging in, which is on the heel team.
But they didn't.
And then she got in, it wasn't. Yeah, I feel like she was underused a bit, but still good.
Yeah, and then the post-match I didn't really care for as well.
Same.
Then we get an interview with Rush and Private Party.
Where's Andrade? Sent home on his couch.
Where is
waiting
he?
for his release?
Waiting. Jose says he called them in because Private Party haven't been doing their jobs, and he shows clips of Rush and Hangman fighting, and Private Party didn't help out, and then something else too.
Don't care.
And Jose says they know Matt Hardy has been contract tampering, and tells them to do the right thing. It was fine. It's obvious where this goes. I don't care.
I know. This felt just lame. Like, always contract tampering, because that's a thing in wrestling, right? Whatever.
I guess it is if you're contacting AEW people.
Right. So again, yeah, sure, I guess. But, like, it's hard to care. This was just there for me. I think you too.
I saw on Rampage, Matt Hardy was talking to Ethan Page because of, like, they told Jose and whatever. So, like, that is not at all what I wanted.
I just don't need any Hardys in my life.
I wanted Ethan Page to have a title match next week. And
me too.
I don't think
I don't think we are either.
Like, I don't know. Can Ethan Page just do anything next week? I want to see Ethan Page next week.
Me too.
Yeah. or do like a.
We'll be there.
Randomly bring the North for some reason.
We will be at Dynamite next week, folks. So
Yes.
our review next week will be interesting because I don't know how we'll do it.
Just watch it again, I guess.
Maybe, or just go off someone else's notes for once. Maybe we'll see. Because I'm not sitting there taking notes. That's for sure. Imagine.
No, I'm in saying the show. We watch it again.
Yeah, we might. It's possible.
I don't know why.
It would be interesting to see that perspective, right?
I don't know who takes notes while they're there.
Not me. I think John Pollock of Post Wrestling might. Yeah. I think he's known for sitting in the crowd taking notes.
Yeah,
but I'm not doing it.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you don't take notes on Dynamite anyways.
That is correct. That is your gig.
Next we get the National Scissoring Day thing.
Yep.
So Bowen says, "Welcome to the first annual National Scissoring Day. Watch them forget about this next year."
The crowd, so many scissors in the crowd. This is the most overact maybe right now in this company.
Mm-hmm.
People loved it.
He says it's a special night brought to you by the Acclaimed, the most popular team in pro wrestling, the winningest team in AEW, the best homegrown team in AEW, and their shirt is the top selling shirt of 2022.
Yep. Which
I think came out after All Out, so it's been out for a month or something.
Right.
And it's the best selling shirt they got, so that's kind of cool. Bowen says they brought home gold, and that means AEW stands for Acclaimed every Wednesday, which I thought was kind of funny. Kind of like a Walk with Elias thing.
Yeah.
Bowen says it's cause for celebration, and they celebrate by scissoring.
Yep.
And how they keep saying it scissoring, because there's other terms for that.
Yeah, so sexual connotation.
I like how they make it sound I think that's kind of funny. That's a nice little nod. He says scissoring is a handshake and a sign of friendship, and it's a sign of a real team, unlike two guys thrown together like Swerve and Keith Lee, which is partially true.
Yeah, it's not a bad point.
Bowen says this isn't Swerve's house, and Billy Gunn says it's Daddy Ass's house, and Gunn presents the Acclaim with big golden scissors. Caster tells everyone to scissor the people next to them, and he talks about Washington winning Super Bowl 17 since Dad was on the team, achieve greatness like they did, winning the tag titles. And Caster says they want to unite everyone in this, and everyone loves the Acclaimed. And Caster says they'll do the first bipartisan scissor, but Swerve comes in, cuts it off, and says this is the most indie thing he's seen. Oh,
Swerve was so good heel vibes here, man.
Mm-hmm. Swerve says
sick.
The title should be on Billy because he and Lee would have retained.
Fair.
We're not for Gunn's interference, which I think is a valid point.
I agree.
I do like that they're addressing it. And Swerve challenges Gunn to a match next week in AO Toronto.
Not thrilled about that.
Swerve, though.
We do get the heel Swerve, so that's cool.
And then Sterling comes out saying he told you so, saying Swerve was a jerk, and he says the Acclaim needed him to beat Swerve because they can't by themselves, which is kind of...
His line of paper beats rock when he came out
was pretty funny.
That was about the best part, I thought.
Yeah, there's rock, paper, scissors in here, so that's kind of funny. And Sterling proposes they join together and unite against Swerve, and so they beat up Sterling, and then Gunn accepts the challenge, and they do the triple scissor. So I thought it was kind of funny, Sterling's against Swerve, and they're both heels now, but then still they're gonna beat the crap out of Sterling,
because you've got cool heel in Swerve and nerdy heel in Sterling, right? So those things don't work together very well. I thought this could have been tightened up a bit in terms of length, but there was some entertaining stuff within it, right? I don't think it was all gold, but the crowd definitely loved this. This was a lot for the people in the arena, I think. They really hit the homegrown thing hard. I think maybe in response to AEW getting some criticism lately for bringing in so many WWE wrestlers, right? This is we've been here the whole time. We haven't really been anywhere else other than out on the indies. So there were times where I lost focus on this a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but there was some entertaining bits in here as well. So I think if they had shaved a couple minutes off of it, it would have been even better. And I really liked Swerve coming in. I didn't like him physically having the Rock. I thought that was kind of lame, but I think Swerve as a heel is awesome. I really think he's going to be a strong heel performer for them if they use him correctly. So overall, a good segment. They trimmed it down a bit. I probably would have liked it better. What about you?
Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a solid segment. I thought the promos were okay. I feel like there wasn't they didn't say a whole lot content wise. I feel like they said a bunch of things, but there wasn't much of a point to it.
And also I think
it was good. It was entertaining, but
I agree.
I didn't see much of having a point. Kinda what were they actually saying?
I did like this. They were sort of all about inclusivity stuff
that
too,
was cool,
which is cool. And Bowen's obviously being the first gay champion, that kind of stuff is that's cool. That's kind of baked in there for sure.
Yeah, and then I thought it was generally entertaining because everyone does love the Acclaimed.
They do.
Very apropos
us included.
Catchphrase.
Yep.
And I thought Swerve did really well.
Yes.
Heel Swerve, very nice. And while I don't care to see Billy Gunn, nice to know I'll get to see Swerve there next week, and it could be a solid match. Anyways.
And because like they're so over as faces, and he's so strong as a heel, like I'm starting to get excited about like where they can go with this, right? Like it could be a very hot.
I guess
match
the feud is kind of tied up. So.
Yes, right.
I don't know where Keith Lee was. Did he have hurricane issues this week?
Could be.
It's his turn.
They're trading off.
Then there's a Dark or Death Triangle package thing. Reynolds says Rampage is a bittersweet night for them because it's the 2-year anniversary of Brody Lee's last match, which was the dog collar match.
You're right.
With Cody with black hair for one match.
Right.
And one match only.
Yeah.
But it will be the night the Dark Order are going to win the Trios titles. No. Pac says Dark Order's recipe is fine, but Death Triangle have the best ingredients, and they are the top trio, and Dark Order won't take the titles from them. And 10 says, what better way to win the titles than on the anniversary of Brody Lee's last match? And Penta says they are the best. Sarah Miedo. It's kind of like one of the things cutting back and forth. And Silver does a Pac impression saying they're coming for the titles on Friday.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's pretty funny.
I wonder if 10 was supposed to lose his mask and where they're going to go with that, right? Or was Andrade supposed to, like, that was his lose and we'll release you? But then why did he? Anyways, it doesn't matter. But this was super quick, right? And I thought it was a nice combination. Silver was serious. Pac was his super intense bastard, and then Silver was funny at the end. 10 stuff was kind of forgettable as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. I had no problem with it. It was really fast, and Silver at the end was the right person to end with because he's funny.
Yeah, it was solid for a Rampage match build. It was solid. Should be a cool match, but not something I'm like gonna need to check out.
The match will be fun. Yeah.
Silver was amusing.
Yep.
I saw Pac cheated again, thanks to Roosh.
He's a bastard, man.
Thanks to Roosh, though.
Oh yeah.
Roosh gave him the hammer.
Nice.
That he cheated with last time.
Nice.
Interesting.
Because Roosh needs something to do now that Andrade's gone, right?
Death Rhombus.
Right. There you go. It's coming.
My favorite faction name.
The return of Death Rhombus.
And we haven't had a Death Rhombus yet.
No.
Unless you count Alex, but I do not count him as a Death Rhombus.
No.
Someone said Death Square, and then I was like, that's lame. Go Death Rhombus.
Right.
Or Death Parallelogram, but I don't think that was the
Rhombus is where it's
Death
at.
Trapezoid.
Yes. No, Rhombus.
Yeah, Death Rhombus is my favorite one.
Don't know where I heard it. Don't think I created it. So I would give credit, but I don't remember where I heard it.
Laugh,
I don't think it was me. I think it was someone else.
It amuses me greatly.
I'm not that smart.
No.
Kurt can confirm.
It amuses me greatly.
Me too.
Next we have a Madison Rain Sky Blue interview. Hold on.
Because
everyone loves the Acclaimed. I mean them, whatever.
Yeah.
Rain says in the months since she's gotten here, she's seen endless potential in the women's division. Sure. And that's valid. And especially in Sky Blue, who's
of all people,
a rising star. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna just
if you say so, Madison
I'm gonna
Rain.
definitely agree with that.
Even though I don't think Madison Rain's that good, I'm sure she can identify excellence in others.
Anna J and Ty Conti interrupt.
And they're mean girls because that's such a creative, clever gimmick.
Sorry, Anna J.A.S. and Ty Mello.
Breaking new ground, right? They're just mean.
They interrupt and laugh at Rain training pro wrestlers and say Sky Blue could use a sports entertainer coach to add some charisma and personality, which she could use, but not in this
Agreed.
way. Sky Blue challenges them to a tag match on Rampage. They accept. Jay says sports entertainers always be pro wrestlers, blah, 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 blah. This was kind of lame. Honestly, didn't care much for it. Still think Anna Jay is really bad in this role.
She is.
And the whole, like, Jay and Conti being like, because like I feel like when Jericho's talking the whole sports entertainers, like it feels like he's kind of natural in it. I still don't like it a lot, but I still think
has decades of being a sports entertainer.
And these like they're saying like they're going like sports entertainers always be pro wrestlers, and you should be a sports entertainer. Like it just feels so unnatural when they're saying it. Just feels so weird. And also Sky Blue Rising Star, my ass. That is a bad joke.
Yeah, I don't. This again felt, excuse me, kind of unnecessary. You're building to a match I don't care about on the show I don't watch, so that's all I have to say about that, I guess.
I don't know, the whole thing was just not good. Next we get Hangman Page versus Roosh Toro Blanco.
My boy Roosh.
They call him that because he's a machine.
With some sort of something all over his back, as we noticed. Lots of acne there.
Yeah, it looked like it. But it's just weird because it doesn't
look like...
It doesn't look like he takes steroids.
You would expect that back to be on Brian Cage, not Roosh.
Right. Or like when you pointed out on Morrissey, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
With Roosh, it doesn't. It just looks like he's like in good shape.
And it was super bad on Luchador in Ring of Honor when I was watching it.
Oh, Flamita, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Flamita Dark was all of a sudden he was like 40 pounds bigger and like jacked with acne all over his back.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
So in some notables, there's a chop exchange. Rush whips and chokes Hangman with the camera cable on the outside, as he does.
Classic.
Follow slammed by Hangman. Later on, a Death Valley driver, which is pretty nice, kind of a high angle.
Yeah, it was more vertical than usual. It looked awesome.
Like a brainbuster-esque kind of deal.
Yes.
Heyman goes for the buckshot, but Rush meets him with a headbutt, followed by a jumping knee strike and a straight jacket pile driver for 2. That was a really nice combination. Rush aims for the bull's horns, but Heyman blasts him with a clothesline, then a buckshot for the win.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to wait for the post-match?
Right. Post-match, Private Party arrive looking like they might attack Heyman. Then Mox walks out and they kind of leave. Mox grabs a mic and says he's been waiting for this for 3 years, 3 years of Dynamite, and he's been watching Hangman for 3 years. They've been circling each other, and between the two of them, they've beaten the best in AEW except for each other. Hard to believe they've never faced up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
And I like him pointing it out.
I'm surprised, but and he says on October 18th in his hometown, there will be one last man standing left in AEW, and the crowd kind of got a reaction for that because I feel like it could be perceived as that's the match type. I don't think so either.
But anyways.
And in 13 days, he'll show up and break Hangman's face. He says he'll beat his face in until he turns blue because Hangman stands in the way of him staying the world champion, being the best in the world.
Ooh, interesting choice of words there. Kind of like it.
And he says he respects Hangman, but when the bell rings, all that goes out the window with the title on the line. And he's about to exit, and Hangman says, if Mox has been waiting so long, where's he going? And the Mox says Heyman's a sweet kid, but like most, he says stuff that gets him in trouble. He says he'll let him off the hook this time, but he better be ready in 13 days, and says watch his mouth.
Right. I thought this was a solid match. I really was looking forward to it, so it kind of under-delivered for me. Surprisingly, my least favorite match of the show to this point. Not to say that it wasn't fine, but I think undoubtedly there's a better match in between these two in there. It's just kind of indicative of Rush's position right now, right? He's talented for sure, and I think an awesome heel, but he's just not at the point where he's going to receive a push because I don't think they've decided quite what to do with him. And then Andrade doing what he did, I don't think is helping Rush either because that was sort of his partner in crime here. So like a good match, a solid TV match, but definitely not what they're capable of. And then the post-match, I thought, like, leave it to Mox, right? He grabs a mic, cuts a promo that puts Hangman over multiple times, helps build their match, pointing out that they've been circling each other but never faced each other, and then laying out his really simple motivations, right? He's the best. I'm the top guy. You're in my way of being a top guy. No offense, but I'm going to take you out and continue being the top guy. And then I liked Hangman's really simple reply was pretty great too. And so Mox just has found a way, like, this is why he's maybe a genius, right? He's taken all of these backstage issues in the company and sort of folded it into his character right now, right? He's taking this, I'll be the locker room leader, I'll be the face of the company, I'll be the guy you can count on, and I'm just going to keep beating people to prove it. And I think it's super simple, realistic, and I really like it, and the guy is awesome.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty good. I thought these guys worked well together. I wish it was a little longer, though, because I feel like they could have done a lot better.
Hangman didn't get to say much at all, right? He was really quick in this.
No. In the match.
Oh, the match, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, I agree. That was part of it. It was I felt like another 5 to 8 minutes were missing here.
A lot more in a better match, but 100%. I think it was good for what we got. And there were some cool bits. I sure said some more time. I think both of them could have showcased a bit more.
For sure.
And the finish was solid, though. Mox's post-match promo was good per the usual. I'm looking forward to that match a little more. Heyman didn't really say a lot, but I thought Mox did really well, so it's all good.
Yep. Should be a great match.
It's all good. Next we got Willow Nightingale interview, and she says she's on a roll and she wants to challenge for the TBS title at Battle of the Belts, which was yesterday.
Right.
And Cargill and the baddies interrupt. And Cargill says she already beaten Willow twice in singles and tag match. And Willow says she has, but can she do it a third time? And Cargill's so confident she'll be 39-0, but what if she ends up being 38-1 and Willow is the one? I don't think so. Fine, I guess, but I would have expected maybe to play Star Challengers Willow facing Storm. I guess this works too. At least a smidge of a build for Battle of the Belts.
Right. Which there's been none.
Can't say I have any interest in this at all. Like, literally, when she said she wanted to challenge, my instant reaction was, didn't she lose already?
She did. And then they mentioned that in the promo, right? I'm just happy that Willow's on again, right? So she picks up a win for her team and gets to talk. So this is them making an effort to maybe build a new woman in this division, which they need to do, and Willow's cool. So again, her character's kind of refreshing and a little bit unique here. And again, she's someone they should focus on. So we already know, again, more about her than we do lots of other women on this roster. So I'm just glad that she's...
Whoa, we know that Sky Blue's a rising star. Why didn't you mention that?
And obviously, I assume Willow doesn't win against Jade, but at least it's getting her more exposure, right? That we can build her into something because she's a good babyface performer, and those are hard to find in wrestling.
So next we go to Luchasaurus, Black Clad versus Fuego del Sol, Chokeslam, Burning Hammer, which they called the Cutthroat, because he kind of did with like Fuego's arm over his own neck, so they called it the Cutthroat, which is kind of cool.
Yet another new finisher, right?
It was just kind of like an invert of the Fossilizer, which I kind of liked too. But I mean, either or is cool.
Yeah, it's a good big man finish for sure.
At least he's got like a couple of those. Then they both beat the Tar Pit.
The Tar Pit.
That was still a sick name though.
And we're gonna get Jungle Boy Luchasaurus, right?
Right. Luchasaurus is going to attack Fuego, and Jungle Boy attacks him with a chair and sends him out of the ring. Jungle Boy Shun says Luchasaurus was his best friend after everything they went through. He chose Cage, and it broke his heart. Now he will break Luchasaurus and piece by piece until he breaks him. He says, pick the time and place, and he'll be ready. Cage says he told Jungle Boy not to come back this week, and it would be just as easy for them to beat the crap out of him again right now. But he said to pick the time and place, and then Jungle Boy's national capital, DC, right now. He says instead they'll do it next week in his hometown in Toronto.
Right. How is your anticipation levels of this match? Because I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. This was just
I'm kind of looking forward to it. I mean, Jungle Boy Luchasaurus should be cool because at least there's like some story there, and it'll be beyond a squash for Luchasaurus. Which
True. I just feel like it was paused for a bit, and when it was kind of interesting, I guess the Christian injury kind of derailed
I think
stuff.
It's all right. Like, I mean, I wish they tacked something else onto this.
You think Jungle Boy wins when we're there? Or are they going to drag this out?
Yeah, but I mean, it could go either way.
Could be Christian affects the outcome, continue the feud, drag it out.
Get cheered, probably.
But, yeah, it probably will. So, yeah, I mean, this was just a squash that was to further the angle, and it wasn't really about the match, and it was fine. I thought Jungle Boy sounded...
So that's all right.
Jungle Boy sounded good.
Also, I saw in Battle of the Belts that we're getting Storm and Cheetah versus Baker and Hayter next week.
Oh, cool.
So... that's all right.
Yeah, I like that.
Because they took out Cheetah, so I guess it never really happened.
Apparently, she's the top-selling merch for women, is what I saw.
Cheetah?
Yeah. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what I saw.
I'd expect it to be Baker.
Me too.
So yeah, Jungle Boy cut a solid promo. It was pretty short, but I thought he did a good job.
He did.
And then Cage was solid too. Another match for Toronto next week, and it sounds good, so.
All right.
Hope so.
I'm in.
Next we get Trent Beretta package. Trent Beretta, as I will always refer to him as, says he calls himself... Or Pat calls himself a bastard because he makes mean faces and needs hammers to win matches. And Trent Beretta says he's out for revenge. Pat says he is a bastard, and what did he expect?
Yeah, exactly.
Trent Beretta says he doesn't need a hammer to win, and best friends do the hands-in thing. It was fine pretty quick. It's just kind of funny because Battle of Belts is right after Rampage, so Pac's just kind of being thrown all over the place because he's on both shows.
And
double title defenses, I guess.
Pac is just the coolest, man. I just enjoy everything he does. I'm sure he's successfully defending here because who the heck is Trent lately?
Trent Beretta.
Right, but yeah, Pac is just awesome. I love him.
Yeah, this is pretty good for a short bit. Then we go to our main event, which is Ring of Honor World Champion Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Ring of Honor Pure Champion Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson.
Correct.
Who they made the point has held both of those titles simultaneously.
Right.
And they look very similar. Like I think the Pure title has like a bit of a curve on the outside of the faceplate, and the Ring of Honor title doesn't. But they're like pretty similar. I used to think they were like just the exact same shape for a while, but they're just like really similar.
Yeah.
And the tag titles look pretty similar too. Wouldn't it be funny if someone held all three of those titles? And they'd all look like almost the same.
Just stack them up one on top of each other.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know.
That'd be kind of funny.
Anyways,
Garcia toys with Jericho, and they're going out wrestling him with like technical holds and whatnot. And then they have a brief chop exchange.
Right.
So
that's kind of cool because that's your like wrestler out wrestling your sports entertainer, right? So that makes sense.
Danielson locks Jericho in cattle mutilation, which I just thought like that's a really cool name for it.
Which WWE would not allow
because vegan.
Yes, he couldn't use that name in WWE.
Really?
No.
It's funny because it's also named that in the game too. It's cattle mutilation.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I knew that name already. Cause
I knew it just from the indies.
And then there's like the Danielson special, which is kind of cool. So it's like he does it like he's about to do like a double on. He looks like he's about to do like a tiger bomb or something. But then he like kind of like so he's kind of like a double underhook, and then he like kind of spins him out into like an armbar.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because it's like a double underhook suplex into an armbar.
Everything
which is
he does
cool.
is cool. Let's be real.
Yeah, I went back to using Daniel Bryan said that because in 2K they have Bryan Danielson from the 2K showcase, but it's like Bryan Danielson because in 2003 he faced Cena on Velocity or something.
Yeah.
So they have like a young Bryan Danielson there.
Yeah.
And so I was using that for a while, but then I'm using Daniel Bryan again, and so I edited his moveset to have like more of the yes kicks because there's like an alternate version that I applied as a strong strike, and then I put in cattle mutilation as a ground submission, then this this cool Fujiwara armbar kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
And then also he's got like one of his signatures is like an Achilles lock.
Yep.
And then he's got yes lock, and then also I put in the Danielson special.
Nice.
And I'm getting good at just like targeting the crap out of the arms. Cause I'm like kind of like Danielson in like
That's
actual
fun.
matches. I'm getting good like I got like a bunch of arm target moves, and then I got like all those submissions to target the arms or something.
Yep.
I'm like getting pretty sick at it.
A million moves to target any limb or any body part.
The crap. I do need some more leg moves because he's got the one leg submission. But
yeah.
Anyways, I'm pretty sick.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
And I had him win a tournament for the NWA title because I found like a cool NWA title that looks really good like a while ago. So that's cool because sometimes they look bad. Like I found a Ring of Honor title, but it looks kind of funky.
Yeah. Make one yourself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I don't have the images. Now I can't. It's going to be harder because there's no online creations anymore because obviously new 2K.
They're getting ready for the new one, yeah.
Or, the current one out.
Yeah.
Anyways, back on track.
Yes.
Jericho gets out of cattle mutilation. Guevara goes for a dive, but Danielson's high steps hits a German suplex, then a running dropkick in the corner as he does. Avalanche Spanish fly by Guevara for 2. Classic. Garcia and Jericho tag in, then they stand off, and it's kind of funny. Guevara tries to interfere diving in, but just Garcia interrupts with a punch, which was pretty nice style from Guevara, I thought.
Yes, it was.
Jericho and Garcia trade shots, then Garcia hits a slap and a Saito suplex. Sorry, Doomsday
Saito, how dare you?
Garcia locks Jericho on the Dragon Tamer, which I find weird. They're still calling him Dragon Slayer because now he's with Danielson, but I guess it.
Yeah, it'll stick, I think,
yeah,
still.
I guess. And Guevara takes him off with a super kick. Garcia goes for a diving cutter, but Garcia catches him in a crossface, and then Jericho tries to interfere. Danielson puts him in the label lock, basically the same thing. Then when the heel's trying to get a submission stereo, hammer and elbows from Garcia and Danielson. I wish that was a move in 2K. I'd put that in. Oh yeah, one of the things they do have a version of the move where he does like the wrist trap stomps.
Yes.
He kind of stomps him in the chest instead of the face in the game, but it's the same thing.
Got to work safe in WWE.
Right. Because I think it's first in Kyle O'Reilly's moveset. Anyways, Garcia counters the GTH and nails Guevara with a pile driver for 2, with Jericho breaking the pin. Jericho suplexes Danielson to the timekeeper table. There's a gnarly GTH by Guevara. I thought it looked really nice.
Crazy, yeah.
And then he goes for a shooting star press, but Garcia gets the knees up and locks in the Dragon
Perfectly.
Tamer. And Garcia's a wee bit too close to the ropes with the Dragon Tamer. The ref is looking at Guevara. Jericho hits Garcia with the Ring of Honor title, and Guevara covers him for the win.
Yeah. Very good main event. Not quite. I was still hoping for more here, but I liked it. We've seen, maybe part of it is we've seen so much Danielson Jericho lately. We've also seen a lot of Garcia mixed in with those. So it definitely wasn't the freshest matchup, but still an enjoyable match. Like, to nitpick a couple times, Garcia clearly angled himself towards the ropes to get interfered with. There was 2 times he did that. I thought he wasn't in the right space, so he kind of moved himself over. And I guess the Ring of Honor champion cheating nonstop to win is that storyline, right? Because this is supposed to be the honorable company and the honorable champion,
right.
And he's the exact opposite of that. It doesn't interest me a ton, but it makes sense. So yeah, I thought it was a good to very good main event, but again, I still preferred the opening match on this show, but that's not to say that this wasn't a good match, because I think it was. You?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good main event. One of the better matches of the night, and I thought Garcia looked pretty good in this one. Which is why I was surprised he took the fall, but I guess cheating again.
Right.
I don't mind the cheating finish. I just don't love that the belt shot. I don't think it looked good enough to warrant just a pin off of that. I feel like you should have followed up with something.
Right.
And then that's all right. But the cheating aspect makes sense. It gives me a slight feeling that maybe Danielson wins next week, because typical rule of thumb is make the loser look strong.
I think they want to give Toronto something too the first time they come to Canada.
But also, I feel like Jericho's a Canadian boy.
I know.
So.
But I still think Danielson's going to be super over
That's
too.
True.
And it'll give us a moment, right, that we get there. So I don't know. It's just a feeling I have.
The Ring of Honor title after however long.
Right.
Some solid spots in this. Guevara had some good ones. Garcia had some nice counters too. Solid main event. I thought it was good.
Yep. Overall, I thought this show was really strong in ring standpoint. Like, other than the Luchasaurus squash, which was like 30 seconds, I thought every match on this show was good and enjoyable. Again, the opener, MJF Yuta, was my favorite by a considerable margin, but I thought everything else was good too. The only real segment that got any time or attention, and maybe a little too much, was the Acclaimed segment. And it was still entertaining overall. There were things that I thought they could have cut out of it, but definitely enjoyable. And then there were no real other major segments, right? It was all just quick hitting little interviews and segments and things. So added all together, I can't quite give it an A because I don't think there was anything segment wise that blew me away, but it's a B+ show. I thought it was excellent in ring. Really happy to see the women's match was really entertaining. And that Willow again got to speak a little bit more, sort of more women in this show than some other episodes, but lacking any really compelling promos. Although I really like the Mox page when I guess. So I'll still stick with my B+, but I would say it was pretty close to an A- as well. Really good show again this week.
Mm-hmm.
You?
Yeah, I think it was better than last week with I think none of the matches were bad. I think all of them hit. I think my favorite was either the TNT title match or the opener.
Oh yeah, the Wardlow cage match was
pretty sweet.
Was sick.
And those two were really nice. The women's match delivered pretty well. The main event was good. Lethal and Darby had a solid one. Hangman Veroosh was a little short, but still good. And the squash was a squash. And the most sustained segment was the Acclaimed one, and that one was pretty solid. And you had a bunch of small segments, which most of them were good. I think the Sky Blue, no thanks.
Right.
And
the private party stuff, don't really care.
Private party don't care. And Willow's okay, I guess. So I think all around it was a pretty solid show. Not quite an A, but I think a B+.
We agree.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's shift gears and take a look at some trivia. Challenge Jack in what we call off the top of his head. All right, I don't know if we've tackled this topic before specifically, but I feel like it's come up before. But again, I'm now 116 weeks into making and or finding trivia, so if it's a duplicate, sorry, again, timestamps are there. But have we done, we're going to talk about NXT TakeOver main events. Okay, so main event matches. I don't know if we've touched on this before or not. So would you rather start the most current they have, because again, I'm going with Cultaholic here, so I don't know how up to date they are, or would you rather start at the beginning?
We'll go back, from current. That seems
back from current.
Yeah.
Okay, so the most current they have is TakeOver 36, so not super.
That
current.
Would be the last. That would be the last TakeOver.
Oh right, so they are current. Yeah. I forgot takeovers are finished now. So what I'll tell you is what the match type was, sort of thing, and you can give me the participants.
Main events?
And yeah, so just the main event. So it was for TakeOver 36 an NXT Championship match.
Cross and Joe.
Cross and Joe is correct. Winner was?
Samoa Joe.
I don't even have that on here, but I trust that you know. So TakeOver in Your House 2021. Looks like
it was a five-way
match.
We loved. Remember?
So
that was awesome.
Where the one guy got taken out for a long time, and who was
Cross
that?
One. It was Cross, Dunn, Gargano, Cole, O'Reilly.
Right.
That match was awesome.
R.I.P. Pete. It was really good.
I actually went back to watch it. I remember the one time it was raining. That match was awesome, especially when Cross was out, because Cross sucks. That was awesome. That was also when Pete Dunne.
Because they threw him through the door, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And there was those sequences with the double teams. And
it was awesome.
It was so good. And that was when Pete Dunne wore the all white gear, which
Pete Dunne is
classic.
cool.
Yeah.
TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 2. Unsanctioned.
Was that Balor? Wait, no. Oh, wait.
Unsanctioned match.
Was that Cole and O'Reilly?
Correct.
Yeah, and O'Reilly won, right?
Right. Stand and Deliver Night 1. It was, do you remember?
Raquel and Io? Or was it Balor?
It was Raquel and Io, the NXT Women's Championship match.
Raquel won, right?
It doesn't have the winners here.
Oh, right.
I'm trusting you.
I think that's when Raquel won. I'm pretty sure.
TakeOver Vengeance Day, NXT Championship match.
Oh yeah, Balor and Dunn.
Wow, you're good. That is correct. TakeOver War Games 2020.
Undisputed Era versus the Brand or the Kings of NXT, whatever.
Which was who? We know who.
McAfee, Dunn, Lorcan, Birch.
Yeah, Oney Lorcan getting a shout out twice on episode 116. Yes. NXT TakeOver 31 championship match.
That was Balor and O'Reilly, the first one.
Wow, you're good. I don't know if you're gonna miss any. Although maybe as we go further back, you'll miss. TakeOver 30 NXT championship match.
Oh, Keith Lee and Cross.
Correct. Right? I forgot
that was one where Cross got injured.
Oh right. TakeOver.
And we didn't really like it.
TakeOver in Your House 2020. Women's championship match.
Oh, that's when Io won the goal. It was Io, Charlotte, and Ripley.
Correct. Wow, I would not remember that either.
I remember.
TakeOver Portland. Championship match.
Oh, Ciampa and Cole.
Correct. Wow, you're good. Takeover Blackpool 2. UK Championship match. Oh, this one I forgot about. I might get you here. UK Championship. I'm sure you know who the champion was.
2. Was it? So this would be 2020s.
Yes, I think.
Would it be Walter?
Correct.
Okay.
Facing. This is where we get
Tyler
you.
Bate. That was Cardiff.
No, correct. Not Tyler Bate.
Oh, was it Joe Coffey?
Correct. Okay. It's kind of like you go, who else was like top of the card in UK? It
Ironically, Joe Coffey also was in Blackpool 1, but I guess we'll get to
that. Takeover War Games 2019.
Undisputed Era versus Ciampa, Dijakovic, Keith Lee, and Kevin Owens.
Correct. I forgot about that too. Holy cow, you're good. UK Takeover Cardiff.
Tyler Bate and Walter.
Correct.
That match was pretty sweet.
Takeover.
That was when he kept like powerbombing them in the ring post.
Every Walter match is sweet. Let's be real.
Or like that was in the build up. Remember they kept like powerbombing him in 7 in the ring post or whatever.
Yes.
Something like that.
Takeover Toronto 2.
Oh yeah, Cole and Gargano in the 2 out of 3 falls.
Right. Is that the one we were at?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there.
Where they like jumped off the cage at the same time.
That was a fun match.
Yeah.
Man, that was when I realized how much people loved Undisputed Era, because it was like before we're even getting in the arena, you see their stuff everywhere,
remember
people chanting for them and chanting for Cole.
When we were walking out, people just kept chanting Adam Cole, baby.
Everywhere. It was crazy.
I love Adam Cole.
Takeover 25. Championship match.
Oh, that was Cole and Gargano.
Correct.
That's when Cole won it, and I was so happy.
Takeover New York.
Cole and Gargano in 2 or 3 falls. That's when Cole lost, and I was really sad.
Correct. Takeover Phoenix. Championship match.
Oh, you're right. I know this. What? Oh, it's Ciampa, wasn't it?
Ciampa, correct.
Was it? It wasn't Aleister Black.
Correct. It was. It was.
Okay.
UK Takeover Blackpool.
Oh, Dunn and Coffey.
Correct.
That was when Walter debuted.
Right. Takeover War Games 2018.
Undisputed Era versus Ricochet, Dunn, and the Warriors.
Yeah, you're good. I forgot that too.
When Ricochet did the double. Suck. That's when Ricochet did the double moonsault off the cage.
If I did trivia, it would not be an interesting segment because I'd be like, I don't know, no idea. Takeover Brooklyn 4. Last man standing. If it helps you.
Ciampa and Gargano.
Correct. Takeover Chicago 2.
Ciampa Gargano.
In what type of match?
Was that this?
Say it. Right.
Street fight?
Correct. Chicago street fight. How dare you? It's very different from other city street fights, so you need to get that straight, okay? Takeover New Orleans?
Unsanctioned match.
Correct.
Ciampa Gargano.
Yes. My God, you're mind for trivia. Takeover Philadelphia.
Andrade Gargano.
Correct. Which is also known as
a title match.
The greatest match of all time. My favorite match of all time, probably.
Really?
It's up there. I love that match. This is when I'm like, oh my God, Andrade is the man. Anyways, Takeover War Games 2017.
Undisputed Era versus Sandy versus Roderick Strong and AOP.
Correct, man. Undisputed Era, a lot of War Games stuff.
They were the kings of War Games.
They were. Takeover Brooklyn 3.
Oh, McIntyre, Bobby Roode.
Correct. Takeover Chicago.
DIY versus AOP.
Oh, I thought I might get you because it was a tag team match.
Well, that's when Ciampa turned heel.
And
so
what type of tag team match?
Ladder match.
Damn it. Yes, correct. Takeover Orlando. Now we're getting back a ways.
Okay.
Championship match.
Is that Bobby Roode and Nakamura?
Correct. Damn it.
I think it's when they introduced the new title too.
And then Takeover San Antonio.
Bobby Roode, Nakamura.
Correct. And then Takeover Toronto.
Joe Nakamura.
Correct. Takeover Brooklyn 2.
Joe Nakamura.
Correct. Takeover The End.
Was that Joe and Balor?
It was.
Cage?
Can you get one wrong somewhere?
That was the cage one, right?
And he doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. He literally sits down here with no idea what trivia is going to be. I promise you. Takeover Dallas. Let's get him.
Joe and Balor.
Correct. Takeover London.
Joe and Balor.
Correct. Takeover Respect.
Oh, Bayley and Sasha.
I wasn't even going to give you the... And what type of match?
Iron Woman.
Correct. Takeover Brooklyn.
Is that Balor Owens ladder match?
Correct. Damn it. Takeover Unstoppable, which I don't even remember being a name.
Balor.
No.
Wait, Zayn and someone?
Correct.
Wait, Zayn and Neville?
No, I think you said it before
Zayn
that.
And Owens?
Correct. So I'm going to say you got that one wrong, just because. Takeover Rival.
Zayn and Neville?
No.
Zayn and someone else?
Yeah. Maybe someone you just already said.
Balor?
No.
Owens?
Correct. Zayn Owens was Rival and Unstoppable. Takeover Our Evolution.
Zayn Neville.
Correct.
Haha.
Takeover Fatal 4-Way. Since they got clever with the name there.
Neville.
Correct.
Tyson Kidd.
Correct. 2 more.
Sami Zayn.
Correct. Never had a title, but was super mega over.
Tyler Breeze.
Correct, in NXT.
I was going to say him already, but then I was like, that doesn't sound right.
And the first ever takeover was?
Like Takeover or like NXT Rival.
Takeover.
Neville and someone?
Yes.
Neville and Tyson Kidd.
Correct. Wow, that is super impressive.
If it was a rival, it would have been, I think that was Neville and Bo Dallas.
So you are ridiculous with your takeover knowledge. I figured you know the vast majority because we loved all the takeovers. They were like the best thing going, but I didn't think you would nail every single one, but maybe 1 or 2. Great job. All right, so let's end the trivia and go back into talking about the week's wrestling in a segment we like to call Highspots and Restholds. All right, so I will be talking about, as usual, NXT and Impact, which I watched all of both of those. I have not watched Bound for Glory, which took place last night, which I may get around to. I might include it in Highspots and Restholds next week, just if there's anything that stood out. But just in general, the card doesn't really appeal to me, so I'm not that excited to watch it. But if I need something to watch in the background while I do other things, I might check that out today. So let's start out for me with NXT. So I was going to ask you, because I didn't put it in either. Because you watched it with me, what did you think of the opening segment with Pretty Deadly?
No.
It was really long, right?
It was okay, but I just didn't like it when Brawling Brutes came in.
Like, they're entertaining, but this was just too long, I thought. Yeah. So I didn't put it kind of was in the middle, so I didn't put it anywhere. So NXT overall this week, because again, this was the first, like, 3.0, right? We're supposed to be going back to whatever, black and gold and white, and it's not 2.0 anymore. So just an overall comment, the show was a bit of a rest hold to me. Other than the logo being different, the color scheme being different, and the announce team this week, which was only temporary because Vic Joseph was on his honeymoon, this felt really similar to 2.0. Have you ever heard the phrase, like, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig?
Yep.
That's kind of what it felt like here, right? Like, it was still lots of short matches, it didn't feel significantly different to me, and that's what I wanted it to. So overall, the whole show was a bit of a rest hold, but more specifically, there were a couple high spots and rest holds. High spot for me was actually what's her name, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter doing a pre-recorded interview, sort of sitting down beside each other. They came across kind of like siblings, right? They pushed each other's buttons, because I think Carter said that Chance is like a goody two-shoes or whatever, and you could see that Chance didn't love that. And then Chance's thing was kind of implying that, well, Kaden Carter's a bit of a bitch sort of thing. But then it felt like siblings, right? Where they push each other's buttons, but they really do like each other at the end of the day. So I thought they did a good job of providing what was probably a true backstory. It was Catanzaro or Chance sort of having issues and taking a break from wrestling, because Carter was like, this is like my lifelong love. I always wanted to be in wrestling. And then Chance was kind of like, this was a late love for me. I was a gymnast, and then I was on Ninja Warrior, and then I kind of fell in love with wrestling after that, but took a break. And Kaden Carter was, when Chance took a break, sort of wondering what was next for her sort of thing, but stayed supportive of Chance the whole time. So I thought this was realistic and added depth to their characters, and because I really don't have much interest in this tag team. So I thought this helped a lot, actually. Then we got a rest hold, which I would suggest was the wrestling on this show in general. Again, a huge disappointment, because I was hoping for a departure from 2.0 and didn't get it. So basically what you got was Carmelo Hayes beat Oro Mensah in 5 minutes. The match was fine. A note I made is I really don't like Carmelo Hayes without a title. He is a star, and he didn't deserve to lose that title. He lost it for kind of no reason, and it was a stark difference for me. I didn't like it at all. Your boy Von Wagner beat Andre Chase in 5 minutes. That was average, forgettable. Chu beat Last Legend in 4 minutes, forgettable. Stark and Lyons beat Toxic Attraction. That got 11 minutes. It was just okay, right? Like, Toxic Attraction, whatever. I don't think Nikita Lyons is good, and I feel bad for Zoe Stark. Julius Creed beat Duke Hudson in a 1 minute squash, whatever. Zion Quinn beat Hank Walker in 2 minutes. And then Walker got saved by Quincy Elliott, maybe looking like they might be a tag team. And then the main event was good. It was Pretty Deadly beat Dunn and Holland. I refuse to call them by their tag team name.
And
in 13 minutes, and that was because Imperium got involved, right? So that match was good, but still nothing amazing. So just like you're looking over it, right? Like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Like this is not anything new from, I guess you could say, well, what was the standard in 2.0? 3 minutes. So they extended them by a minute or two, right? So still short, basic matches with nothing of note. So disappointing to say the least. Specific rest hold, Apollo Crews with his visions still. So this week, despite his best efforts to avoid Crews's vision, because it makes sense that we all have access to what's going on in Apollo Crews' head.
I don't even understand. I saw it and I don't even understand what happened.
So it's stupid. So despite Waller knowing what the vision was somehow, which is dumb, and trying to avoid it, he still gets dragged under the ring by Crews at the end of his Waller effect segment. And then Waller emerges from the ring
and I saw also that the wheel landed on Weapons Wild.
Yes.
For their match, which is right next to Trick or Street Fight.
Right.
Tell me the difference between those two.
100%.
Like,
there isn't one.
What?
So
I thought it was funny he was rooting for a coal miner's club.
Yes, because I think that's the funny, like, it's dumb. So he's panicking and his eyes are red. And this whole feud, right, if you really look at it, is about an eye gouge in a match. So a standard heel tactic. This is to me like what?
Eye for an eye, baby.
I guess. But to me, this is like not much different than like building a feud over a guy using a closed fist in a match, right? Because you're not supposed to do that either.
Right.
But it's something that happens. So I don't know, man. The drama that they're attempting to staple to like this mundane little thing that happens all the time in wrestling, plus then like it manifests itself by him having these like
I don't mind like
psychic visions that we all see.
A worse like eye gouge, like if you did like something like where it makes sense that he's bleeding, but I think the visions thing takes it too far.
It's dumb, and it's too bad because Crews is doing a better job of speaking and sounding like he's comfortable on the mic, but they're giving him nonsense to deal with. Contrast that, a high spot for me was a Dragunov. I actually wanted to send you a link to this because I thought it was awesome. Dragunov just pre-recorded segment. Just sometimes I find he gets almost too passionate and intense. It distracts me a little. This one, I think he was right on point. He talked about how hard it was to give up the NXT UK title because of his ankle injury. Talks about the pain of having to watch Worlds Collide, thinking it should have been him against Braun Breaker and not Tyler Bate. So I just thought he found the sweet spot in his intensity here. Excellent promo. Really liked it.
So he used to be like too much, like with the eye contacts, remember?
So I think this was excellent, and I'm really excited about Dragunov being there and hoping he can have some cool matches. That was honestly about all I had notable for NXT. Did you want to do any main roster before I go to Impact?
Yeah, I only had 2 that I could get, but one of them was Chad Gable German suplex Braun Strowman in his match, which was cool. Kind of like a Andre Hogan moment.
Right, they do say if you get your hips lower than the other guy, which his definitely are, right?
I thought that was pretty cool. And then the other high spot from SmackDown was Maximum Morales got attacked backstage, and LA Knight was like, and it's not who I am. He even said LA Knight, so LA Knight's back, baby.
Good.
Which, I mean, that's good. I mean,
it's good
again,
for him.
LA Knight, not our favorite, but it's 1,000 times better than
and it fits perfectly in the main roster stuff, right? Like I don't know what they were waiting for.
I think LA Knight could do a lot. Me too. There. Like I think he was fine in NXT, but I think he could do. And like he was good in NXT, so I think they could do pretty good.
And let him talk as the obnoxious character he is, right? Like his promos are really entertaining. So switching to Impact, which I just finished this morning.
Also, I would like to say I would like for Butch to do that.
Agree.
I'll talk about that again later, but if Butch could do the exact same thing,
yeah,
I literally don't care that they just did that. Just do it again with Butch, and I will be the happiest boy in the world.
Right. Impact Wrestling this week, high spot for me was the sort of the final build.
Was Matt Taven?
No. The final build for Bailey. Yeah, you got to hear me complain a lot about Matt Taven as I was watching it. The final build for the Mike Bailey Kazarian match.
You watched that yet?
No, I have not. But so this was just a really simple, realistic story. So I loved it because they're talking about Mike Bailey is trying to be like the fightingest X Division champion ever. And I think it was like they were given the statistics, right? He has like 9 successful defenses in about 4 months. And I think the point is he's on pace to break Kazarian's run of, I think he had 13 title defenses and Bailey's on pace to do it in a much shorter time, right? So Bailey's got motivation to keep winning. Kazarian's got simple motivation to stop this kid. Cool. Right, so I really liked it, and I thought the video was well delivered. Right, so I quite like that. You're gonna notice most of my high spots are not any of the in ring this week, which is disappointing. Then there was a Killer Kelly segment. They continue to just have a cool vibe to them. She's kind of in her usual dark place, cutting a promo, and then just gets jumped by Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans. And then from this, we learned that all 3 of these women will be in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. So really leaning into the intergender stuff, because I think Giselle Shaw might be in it as well.
I'm pretty sure I saw. Do you know who won that?
So I couldn't even lots of women going into it. So we'll see what happens there. Just her presentation has been really cool, but I think at this point she needs to start stringing together some important wins to like elevate her further, because I think they can. Like the women's division in Impact right now with Slamovich and Killer Kelly is looking pretty good to me, and Jordan Grace is awesome. So they got some talent there. High spot for me is just a simple one. Brian Myers walking around backstage as the digital media champion. That's what it's called.
I still think that's a stupid belt.
I do too.
Think that I like to having another mid card title, because I honestly think that makes sense. But like,
I know the choice of
anything else.
I agree. But he's a really good mid card heel, so he's just walking around backstage. And what kind of made it for me is he bumps into Delirious, who gets to speak some of his gibberish. Like I remember covering his promos in Ring of Honor and just loving it, because he just speaks absolute gibberish. So it was a really quick segment. But it also saw, at the beginning of it, I think it was, a yellow hoodied member of Eric Young's group being removed by security. So I kind of like that too. It's like the last couple weeks we see 1 or 2 of them trying to kind of infiltrate, but not being successful, right? So just to remind us they're trying to break in or whatever and get involved, but they're not, sort of thing. So I like that. High spot, closest thing to a match high spot I can give you is Sami Callihan as the guest referee for Moose and Macklin. So basically, Callahan doing his videotaping of people, right? Like he has access to all this, has had footage of Moose and Macklin both saying that they're going to turn on the other, right? So their alliance, Sammy's just trying to mess with them and blow up their alliance. So I don't even know.
They had an alliance? I thought there was like a 3-way at.
It was kind of like, it would be a 3-way, but Moose and Macklin kind of working together. And then Sammy's like, you think you're going to work together? Here's the footage of each of you saying you're going to turn on the other one, right? So to break up their... So anyways, the match itself was a decent bloody brawl. It was a lot of Macklin bleeding from the head and Moose continuing to attack it. But anyways, Sammy kind of stole the match for me, because he's basically, all he wants is for them to kill each other, right? So he was like comedically incompetent. Like there was a suplex out on the floor and he's just yelling over the ropes, "Are you guys okay?" Like, because he doesn't care, right? And he's not counting the pinfalls correctly because he wants the match to carry on and for them to get more damage. So he ends up actually hitting a cactus driver to both of them.
That's is that package pile driver?
No, it's just a regular kind of quick pile driver. And then he stacks Macklin on top of Moose to count the 3. So that he was fun there. Another high spot, Joe Hendry segment. Similar but a little different this week. Instead of being a completely pre-recorded kind of skit almost, this one was taking place backstage. And remember I showed you like the 3 jobbers that I didn't really know who they were. So they were trying to figure out who would be the one to ask Scott D'Amore for the last spot in the change your narrative. Clear your sinuses. What is it? Call your shot. There you go. Gauntlet.
Do you say clear your sinuses?
Just because I have CYS and I'm thinking of my own stuffy head right now.
Clear your sinuses.
So basically these jobbers end up playing rock, paper, scissors, and the winning jobber, whose name I didn't even get, goes to ask like D'Amore. So he goes to open D'Amore's office door. Hendry comes out of the office and the usual musical number ensues. So everybody, the more people show up and they're like doing the clapping and dancing like that is happening, except for the jobber who got denied, the one that was going to go ask. So he's kind of like not really into it. And then he
doesn't believe in Joe Hendry.
And then, right, how dare he? So I imagine that's going to set up a squash match next week or something. And we learn that Hendry is the final participant in the Clear Your Sinuses Gauntlet match that has already happened, and I don't know. Really big rest hold. Ready? The Swingerellas
Yes.
So they got squashed by Jessica and Taya Valkyrie.
Death Dolls?
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, with the Z.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that until I saw one of the things.
So this made me laugh because commentary are struggling to explain why this match is happening. And it's like Swingerella number 1 was engaged to Johnny Swinger, but is now married to Johnny Bravo. And that they thought Jessica Havoc was flirting. Anyways, it was ridiculous. The explanation took about as long as the match. So Taya and Jessica squashed 2 non-wrestlers. And then that earns them a title shot. because the division is super deep, obviously.
Right.
So the whole thing was a waste of time.
Of course.
Finally, well, not finally, I guess. Second penultimate is I like that they ended the show with a Masha Slamovich Jordan Grace contract signing, because I agree that this match feels like the biggest one at Bound for Glory. Masha has been built as an undefeated monster and getting longer and longer matches and better talent and still crushing them. And Jordan Grace is just an unstoppable powerhouse of a champion. So I really think this feels a lot more interesting to me, even though I love Josh Alexander, than him taking on Eddie Edwards, because who cares? I've seen people predicting Eddie Edwards to win, and I don't know if that happened, so don't say anything, but
I
come on.
don't think so.
I can't imagine. Anyways, I just appreciate Impact understanding that this is the big match for a lot of people, and it's the women, so that I like the focus on them as well, in contrast to AEW. So this ended with Masha putting Grace through a table with the snowplow, so I'm afraid it means maybe Masha doesn't win the match.
I saw
and
Jordan
ends her
Grace's
streak,
finisher is
but
called Fall from Grace, and I would
Yes.
just like to say I love that.
that is cool, right? She's awesome,
that
man.
Makes me
So
laugh.
I love both of these women. I don't really want either of them to lose, so it's the match I'm by far most interested in. And then finally, the Resthold overall, kind of like NXT, was the in-ring action this week, because the last couple weeks, I've enjoyed some of the matches.
Right.
I don't think anything was awful, but nothing was a high spot. So I guess, like, to quote MJF, this was all basically mid kind of thing, right?
Mid.
So you got the bloody brawl between Macklin and Moose, a decent match, but way too much outside interference between Shelley and Taven, right? Good old What was I complaining about Matt Taven?
Oh yeah, he names like
Everything. Every basic move the dude does, he tries to give it. I think he just wants to be cool, and he tries way too hard, and he's not cool. Like, and all he ever does is like a cool heel gimmick, but he's not good at it, and his matches are okay. Anyways,
But he's the OGK.
I just don't like Matt Taven. I apologize. And then Mia Yim beat Giselle Shaw in a decent match, I guess. And then the women's tag squash. So nothing super entertaining match-wise this week for me, and there has been lately. So it kind of felt like a holding pattern, last little ditch effort to build to Bound for Glory, which doesn't look great to me, to be honest. So anyways, that is my Highspots and Restholds. So you wanted to preview something?
Extreme Rules.
Since we don't have Figuring It Out this
Which
week,
is
right?
tonight.
We're gonna... Oh, right, Extreme Rules.
And I'm done at 7.
So let's watch it together, shall we?
Nice.
All right, so preview Extreme Rules. I haven't really thought about it much, so you're going to get my sort of off-the-cuff predictions for this. Are we keeping track of predictions?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do that.
On my tally sheet, I have Ring of Honor, which was whatever
I think I won the last two.
SummerSlam, All Out, Worlds Collide, and Clash at the Castle.
Because you were on a roll, and then I stole it last time, I think.
So.
All right, so tell me what's going on here. Talk to me.
So first one is Imperium versus insert faction name here, and a Donnybrook.
Who's the faction name?
Sheamus.
Oh, and the Brawling Brutes?
God damn it.
Sorry.
So I'm picking the Brutes because Gunther got the important title win, so I feel like you kind of throw the Brutes a bone here, which was kind of the thing I've seen other people say. But my hope would be Imperium wins, and then Butch gets pissed off, renounces his name, and says, "I'm Pete Dunne," and then he confuses Sheamus and beat the crap out of him, then maybe fight Gunther for the title. I don't care. That would be the dream, but I don't think it'll happen, so Brutes probably get a win here.
I'll take Imperium just because I think they're going to keep that rolling. Like, they're
I hope so.
pretty cool, and I hope so. I will take Imperium, not even just to be different. I think
that's fair.
I like that.
So Edge versus Finn Balor, I Quit match. So I feel like it'll be Edge here, and part of me thinks it is, but apparently I saw a thing like WrestleVotes said that they've been told apparently significant plans are lined up for Balor in the future. He'll play a big role in the future, and with Triple H at the helm, that's not the craziest thing to believe.
I agree.
So I'm gonna take a chance and say Balor wins, even though I'm not 100%. But I would very much like to see Balor do something great. So
I'm going to take Balor as well because I think
that'd be really cool. I mean, I don't want him to do the Judgment Day thing anymore.
No,
but that if he's doing big things, then maybe that could turn this around too. I mean,
right? Like if you really elevate Balor and make him
give this gimmick some depth too. I don't really understand what they are still,
and I feel like there's no real leader. Right?
And
if
like
anyone,
Balor,
it's Rhea Ripley, almost.
I think it's supposed to be Balor, but it doesn't seem like it.
So if the big plans mean they elevate him and that by extension elevates the group, then I'm cool with it, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if, like, also, I would very much like to see him do a demon within the Judgment Day, like purple demon. I don't know. I feel like that'd be kind of cool.
Because Balor's amazing, but Vince just saw him as a tiny little dude, right? So those days are over. So I'll take Balor as well.
Interesting. All right. Next, Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross strap match. I pick Kross because as much as I despise Kross, he's still kind of fresh off of his return, even though it's been a bit. But like wrestling wise, he only had like a squash, I think.
Right.
And so win here would do him well. McIntyre should get a good showing though, because I think Kross is dominating much of the feud. So I think McIntyre should. I think they should have like a real back and forth one here, but I think Kross should win because I don't think a loss really affects McIntyre. And as much as I hate Kross, I think he needs a win.
100% same theory is that who needs the win here, and I think it's Kross, and I don't think a loss with a strong showing or shenanigans doesn't hurt Drew.
Yeah,
I think that one's pretty clear. It's
maybe
Kross.
a fireball that'll go right this time.
Maybe. But yeah, Kross.
So next, Bayley versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's title in the ladder match. I'm going to take Bayley because I think Belair's had a great run. I think she's been doing a great job this year. But I think it's time for a title change. I think damage control running the whole thing
with all the belts
makes sense.
Yes.
They did telegraph it on Raw, which would imply they're not doing it. But I think that's just like, you got to do it. It just makes more sense here. To give Bayley another title run, I think is also smart because I think her last title run with the SmackDown one was brilliant. So
I agree with what you're saying, but I'll take Belair just because I think it could go either way, and A, to be different, and B, to just keep the Belair thing going, right? And just keep establishing her as just a superstar that you can go back to anytime you want, and maybe do this title change a little bit later. So I'll take Belair retaining there.
Okay. Other women's title match, Morgan Rousey Extreme Rules match. I have zero interest in this whatsoever. I don't see either of them as a great option, but Rousey winning seems a little less likely, so I guess I'll take Morgan because I don't want to pick either of them because I don't give a rat's ass. I do not care at all.
Well, you just got my visceral reaction was to go, because I don't care either. I'll take Rousey just because I feel like they need to end this Liv Morgan experiment.
They could have done that a month ago with Shayna Baszler.
But I think now there's been further evidence, and it's really time to be like, you kind of hamstrung her from the beginning and made her look weak, and it's really hard to recover from that, right? So, I mean, maybe her crushing Rousey helps that, but I think I'll take Rousey.
Okay. And then our last one is Rollins versus Riddle in the
Fight Pit.
Fight Pit.
Is that the main event?
I don't know, but I think it should be.
It is for us.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
And like, then makes it's less pressure on them. Another point is like less pressure on them because it's probably difficult to set up the whole thing.
I'm confident in my pick on this.
So I'm taking Riddle because it's his match.
I agree.
I think that's as much as I want another Rollins win. I really appreciate them giving him the win last time. I'd love if it was any other match, I'd pick Rollins, but it's Fight Pit, so Riddle needs to establish this as his match.
100%, and I feel like they are trying to establish Riddle as a guy, right? Like as a just beneath maybe the top tier, like can be a title challenger, kind of like Drew McIntyre status, right? Where if you need him, you can use him, but he's at that level just beneath.
Right.
And that if you establish this as his match, that leaves you places to go in the future. So I agree.
Exactly. You can like have other matches in the Fight Pit.
So all of his, now that you want to make him a star, all of his major feuds, you can have that option, right? Of it culminating or whatever in a Fight Pit. So I will also, I think that one is, and the match should be sick, right? Like, and again, Rollins doesn't get hurt by losing a really cool match here, so I think it's Riddle.
Mm-hmm. And that is it. There's not a lot.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And you said there was no figuring it out, so I think we have reached the end of episode 116, right in our sweet spot, man. We're hitting this hour and 3/4 that I love so much. Pretty much nailing it. So thank you for joining us, taking any time out of your week to listen to us talk about wrestling. We'll definitely be back next Saturday with episode 117. There's always a slight chance if we really liked something about Extreme Rules, we could talk about it. We haven't.
We'll at least talk about it next week.
We definitely haven't done a bonus episode in a while, so you never know. But if not, yes, we'll talk about it on episode 117. So we hope to see you all back here next Saturday afternoon for that. And until then, everybody, Canadians, have a great Thanksgiving. Everybody else, take care.